few months ago, I talked about how the saddest scene to me in history was Marow's death from Hunter x Hunter. And I'm specifically talking about the part where they are talking, Kamugi and Meruem are talking, and Meruem is all like, hey, I'm getting tired. I'm going to close my eyes for a little bit. Will you still be here when I wake up? And she goes, yes, I'll still be here when you wake up. And he goes, Kamugi, can you say my name one more time? And then she goes, good night, Meruem. And then he like dies in her arms. To me, that was the saddest, I don't know, the saddest scene in anime history. And I had been challenged, I guess, I'll say, tasked, if you would, with watching Cyberpunk Edgerunners. And let me tell you, sadness as a whole for a series, for the anime that I've watched, sadness as a whole, 100%. Cyberpunk Edgerunners is just a brutal anime. Okay? Like, and yes, this is gonna contain spoilers because I need to talk about it while it's still kind of fresh in my head. But David is a poor kid just going, his mom's, busting her butt so he can go to school. And in this richer quote unquote neighborhood, right? His mom dies. He drops out of school, starts talking to this one girl. They fall in love. That's his girl. He gets a mentor. His mentor dies. He meets another person. That person dies. And everybody he's met has died. And then he dies. I think the only person in the show who like survived was Lucy, and everybody else had died. And that show was rough. Like so when I watched the show, what happened was I couldn't go to sleep. So I went to the gym and I decided to like walk on the treadmill to get myself like tired so I can go to sleep. So I was like, oh, I'm walking on the treadmill. Let me throw up Cyberpunk Edgerunners while I'm here. I watched the first episode on the treadmill. 2 hours later, I'm still on the treadmill watching like the 8th episode. So I hop off the treadmill, go home, finish the last 2 episodes. That whole entire anime, I don't know if I've seen a sadder show. Like, I don't know, can we get the bar higher from here? You know what I mean? Like Meruem dying will always be the saddest scene that I've ever seen. But Cyberpunk as an entire show has like, if in saddest moments, I guess. Cyberpunk Edgerunners as a whole like takes it for me because you have, geez, what do we have? So you have David Martinez, right? And he is already talking about this, right? So I'm trying to think of like specific stuff. David Martinez, his mom was a smuggler, and so she would steal things from other no, they weren't freakers. What was it? When they would start freaking? What you call it? What did they call it? The little part where they would start wiling out because they got what do you call it? They have too much technology on them, and when they get too much technology on them, they start freaking out. I forgot what they named that thing, but they always said, "Oh yeah, they like your brain starts to leave you." Oh my gosh, what is it? Cyberpunk, when you have too much gear on. What do they call it? When you have too much technology. When you have too much technology. Cyberpsychosis. Okay? Cyberpsychosis is what they were experimenting on. So in the first episode, you have that one guy with the Sedevistan on his back, and he got the sudden Devistan attached to his spine, and with that thing attached to his spine, he was just doing like the freakiest stuff, just slaughtering all those cops and stuff like that before they finally put him down. Then in that same episode, his mom dies. So David takes that Sendevistan and puts it on his back while he finds it. In the next episode, I think what happens is the guy who owns the gang confronts David and is basically like, hey, that's my machine. I need that. And then he gets recruited into the gang. And that's, I think, also episode 4 is when he meets Lucy. After that, they what happens after that? I think that's the part where they do the little gambling thing. And I think that's when the first main character that I thought was the main character dies. And what was his name? I don't remember the character's name, but he was someone's brother, Rebecca's brother. Maine? Yeah, because Maine had like this hand thing, right? And then he was, yeah, yeah. So it was Maine, and Maine. That's when Maine died, I believe. And then after that, it was kind of like then everybody else slowly started dying, and then it just got to a point where I was I was so hopeful while watching that show. I remember sitting there watching, what was it? He was going through his cyber psychosis, and Lucy was like, "I want to go to the moon," and he's like, "I'll take you to the moon, baby," and then he dies. Like, there's just so much that I want to talk about, but I'm not sure where I need to start or talk about because the show was just great overall. And I don't know if there's another show that could compare or beat this, but if there is, please leave that show name in the comments, and I will probably give a better review and or of the show the more I do these. But I think I need to go on a journey and find the saddest anime now. You know what I mean? Because that was sad. And if I thought Meruem dying was sad, the saddest scene, and I just watched the saddest anime, in my opinion, there must be other sad animes out there. I don't typically watch sad animes because I'm typically like the how do I say this? I'm an action kind of guy. Action, isekais. Sometimes I'll do a slice of life, but like that's like to a certain extent. Is it isekai or iseki? What do people say? Isekai? I'm gonna say isekai. So isekais and action. That's basically all I watch. That's it. I don't have a vast knowledge of anime. I got a box, but now I want to delve into the sadder animes so I can watch those and experiment or experience what all these other people are going through that I have not yet gone through. Cyberpunk right now, for saddest animes I've ever watched, solid seven, solid 7, 8. Okay. And so if I had to say for like animes that I've watched, obviously it'd be a 10 because this was by far the saddest anime that I have watched because you like to think mostly when they give you an anime and or a main character, your expectation is a happy ending. I did not get that happy ending from this. I was devastated by the ending. I was so devastated, like to this day, I do not believe David Martinez is dead because if and hear me out on this like theory, like indulge me for a second. Whenever a character died in Cyberpunk, they showed that character's face and or basically their limp body. Okay, but what they did not show ever was David dying. Right? You see Lucy driving away and then hear the gunshot, but I feel like they needed David too much because David was also what he said. He wasn't getting that like kickback from the Sandevistan that they were expecting him to get. So they decided to like pretty much use him as a guinea pig. And while they were using him as a guinea pig, I don't think they would have given up their guinea pig like that. They would have continued to use him. And that's why we didn't get to see him die. I'm assuming what happens was they shot next to him, took his corpse, and then are continuing to run experiments on him to this day while Lucy's out there lollygagging in space. Because again, Alex, they showed his mom limp on the floor when that car took him out. Then they got the ashes, right? They showed Maine's death. They showed Rebecca's death. They showed was it Falco? They showed Falco's death. They showed Kiwi's death. They showed Dorio and Pilar's death. Am I missing anyone? I don't think so. But they never showed David's death. They just kind of said he died and called it a day. And because they kind of just said he died, I don't believe it. And so I'm kind of hoping that with the announcement of this Cyberpunk Edgerunners 2, even though it is a standalone, right? And we understand that it's a standalone, I got a couple expectations. Everybody's going to die. There is no happy endings, and don't get attached to any character. Those are the three things that I got going on, and that's what I'm gonna remember taking on to this Cyberpunk 2. that is being worked on. Even though it is a standalone, I am also, and I think it is going back to Night City. And what I'm expecting is for them, like, maybe to try to tie all the stories together, because they are like standalones. That they'll basically like show an ending part where they're all like, oh, there's David still alive at the end of season 2 or something to that effect. And that's honestly what I want to see. But yeah, like I was saying though, you guys have any sad animes that you think I should watch? Let me know. I will now be going on my emo anime phase. So yeah, drop it down in the description. I will take a peek. I'll give it an honest review. Yada yada yada. You know how it goes. So far, again, Cyberpunk number one in my series out of one of one. That's crazy how that works. Anyways, yeah, let me know how you feel about that.